Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the RadJunk podcast. I have actually sat down. My name is Joe Alonzo. I own RadJunk, Rad Bar, and Really Rad Weekend, and this is our new weekly podcast thing that we've tried in the past, but it's actually happening this time. And I can't believe I actually sat down for week 2 to record this, but here we are. So we're going to get started here. Taking a look at our live feed. So if you're joining us live, we are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/radjunk. After the show, this will be uploaded to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, as well as YouTube. And I believe the VOD will be available on Twitch. So we are here. It is September 7th in 2023, the year of our Mario. Man, it has been 1 week since the last time I spoke with you all. But we're here, and we're doing stuff. And I'm trying to fix this Twitch stuff because it automatically propagates information from the last stream, and I don't want it to do that, which is really annoying. But whatever, it's fine. So if you're watching on Twitch, sorry if it says the wrong thing, but we are here. So I have been real busy. This past week was Labor Day, which I kind of forgot about. And so Sam and I were at the shop by ourselves most of the time. Molly was on vacation as well as Allie. They were both out of town. And it was wild because we also had trade night, which was a good time. We'll get to that in a second, though. Super busy. Pinball machines at the bar took a beating. The bar was very busy. Everything, when we're busy likes to break. That's the nature of pinball and owning pinball. And we'll touch more on that as well in a moment because we bought a new machine, which is cool. Picked it up yesterday. Outside of that, I've been stretched thin. I won't lie. Hot Rod in the chat, how's it going? I'm glad you're here. Oh, and Meg Maid, our favorite. Shouldn't you be working? So let's see. Bar took a beating. I'm stretched thin. I'm very tired. I moved a bunch of machines today with no dolly. We had to drive out to Santa Rosa Beach, which is about 30 minutes east of here, to my mom's house to pick up some pinball parts that were shipped to the wrong address so we could get everything working at the bar, which is great. What else? Got to eat at the Meltdown, which is a place that I used to work at. It's a grilled cheese place in Seaside. We took my son there today. We also went to Dawson's Yogurt, which I also used to manage before the Meltdown, and we got some chocolate vanilla swirl soft serve, which is the best you will ever have. I promise you. They do something to sweeten it with honey, and it's really good. So if you're in the Seaside area, check out Dawson's, check out the Meltdown. So we went and picked up pinball parts, which this is a long story. Actually, we'll get into this first. So, like I said, it's been Labor Day weekend. The bar's been busy. And pinball has this thing that it does where it knows when you're busy or when you're about to be busy. And every machine breaks. And the second one machine breaks, another machine breaks. And it's a domino effect of things. And it's really, really bad because fixing pinball when there's a bunch of people in the bar it's tough. It's real tough. Jess and I do what we can, but sometimes it's so crowded that you can't move around, and like you're pulling glass off, you're trying to flip play fields up, solder sometimes, and do all these things. It gets crazy. So the first thing, so high speed has been broken. We keep throwing parts at it and we can't get there, and it needed to be pulled off the floor anyway. So then this is Saturday, so this is the day of trade night. And we go to the shop, we get it open, we're kind of busy off the bat. We're kind of hoping for a slower trade night because it's just me and Sam, which, not that we haven't done that in the past because we used to run trade night by ourselves anyway, just because we were tired. I'll be honest. We were super tired and just, ready to go home, honestly. And we just wanted to hang out with our friends. So Get to the shop. It's busy. We're doing stuff. Do a couple repairs. The roof has been leaking. However, the landlord is taking care of that, which it should be good now, which was tough. I head to the bar to get an extra table as well as wristbands to give people at trade night and a couple adult beverages to enjoy at trade night. Everything seems fine, I believe. So then I head back to the shop, and almost immediately after I get back to the shop, I get a text from Meg that someone had turned off Star Wars. And so there's a lot of people that come in, especially nowadays, where they have a pinball machine at home and they spend a lot of time on Pinside, which is a pinball forum, and in all the pinball groups on Facebook. And they think that, like, you know, they're an expert. It's like the people that read on wikis about video games, or they watch YouTube videos for repairs and they think they're an expert in their field. This dude had just turned off our Star Wars pinball machine. So when Meg, our bartender, asked why he did that, he said it was broken. So if you're in a place and a machine breaks, let the staff know that it broke. How are we supposed to fix something and diagnose it and let you have a good experience if we don't know that something's broken? So you just flip the machine off, and which is kind of infuriating, but also kind of funny, to be honest. So I go back to the bar because I don't want another pinball down because high speed's already down, and pop the glass off. It's busy. People are on all the machines around me, so working on it's kind of tough. And basically, on a pinball flipper, there's an arm that moves back and forth through a coil that charges it. It's like an electromagnet, more or less. And there's an armature with like a linkage in it that controls the flipper. And the linkage is made out of plastic. And so that's a wear and tear item, and they do break from time to time. And you just rebuild the flipper. It's good to go. So I'm in there trying to get in there. Usually we have extra parts to do that on the fly. I typically, when we order them, I order 5 at a time. Well, let me rephrase. Enough to do 5 machines. So we have some in back stock. However, this time we did not. But I'm down there messing with it, and I'm frustrated because I don't have the parts. And I feel like a presence behind me, and it was a guy that had turned off the machine. And he's like talking to me about it could be this problem or that problem when really I've already found the problem. I look at him, I'm like, you know, I'm nice about it because he's just trying to help. No harm, no foul. And I'm like, oh, the linkage in the flipper broke. His demeanor changed immediately, and it was like the end of the world. As if, like, the pinball gods had come down and, like, smited this machine, and it was in op forever. And this is, like, the signs of a true non-operator, non-location pinball owner. And I'm like, look, man, it's cool. It happens. So he goes about his business. See him playing some games, which is cool. I'm trying to figure out what to do about Star Wars. And finally, we're getting close to the time where I need to be back at the shop in time for trade night. So I just cut the machine off. We're going to roll without that one. And it is what it is. So we move on to trade night, which I'll touch more on trade night in a minute. But partway through trade night, I get a text from Jess, and she says that Mandalorian's flipper is out. And sure enough, guess what broke? It was the linkage on the flipper. So we don't have spare parts. We have 2 machines with broken flipper linkages. And, you know, it's one of our busiest weekends. So I ever pull the good flipper assembly out of Star Wars to move to Mandalorian. However, it was giving her some trouble. And so finally we wrap up trade night. We head over to the bar and start looking. I think we messed with it for probably 45 minutes to an hour, something like that, trying to get the flipper so the flipper wouldn't go down into the armature to tighten down, and it wouldn't tighten. So finally, I don't know what dawned on me. Turns out that one part of that armature is threaded and the other part's not, and if you have it swapped, the screw will still go down, but it won't tighten because it can't pull that armature together to kind of sandwich the flipper rod into the arm. So we get that, we get it knocked out, it's good to go. Overnighted parts. I forgot that when I overnighted the parts, that it was Labor Day once again. So overnight wasn't true overnight, and they came in yesterday afternoon, and that's why we went and picked them up today. So went to the bar today for beer tasting, and fixed Star Wars with new parts as well. However, in between all of this, I think it was after trade night when we had machines broken. I shot a message to our local distributor. When I say local, he's the most local that we have. His name's Jarrett Crum. He runs Gulf Coast Pinball and Arcade and Pins and Pints in Fairhope. So I sent him a message. I was like, hey, man, do you have any Foo Fighters premium pinballs in stock? Because the other day we were kind of shopping around, and I had my son, my 2-year-old, watch a bunch of videos and pick which one he thought looked the coolest, and it turned out to be Foo Fighters, which is neat because the game is awesome. So he did have one Foo Fighters premium in stock. He actually had two. He had one new in box in stock, and I wanted the new one. So yesterday we loaded up. We drove over to Fairhope, probably about 3 o'clock our time. Got there. My son went with us, and he's a toddler and he's crazy, so being in the car that long is tough for him. But we kept telling him we're going on a pinball adventure, and he kept calling it an adventure pinball, which was funny. So we get out there, we pull up, and Jared has recently gotten chickens. He's got 20 of them, I think 19. And there's our rooster, and that rooster is mean. And the rooster freaking jumped up on the hood of my truck and scratched up the truck. But, whatever. So we get there, we buy Foo Fighters, we drive back. We stop at Buc-ee's on the way, which if you haven't been to a Buc-ee's, it's like a massive gas station with tons of snacks and everything. And it was cool. But we get back to the bar probably about 10:30. We unload Foo, we get it assembled in the parking lot, we take it in. We bump Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you've been to the bar, from the front area over to the main pinball lineup on the primary floor. Got Foo Fighters set up. We had some technical difficulties with it that were really weird, where so all the new Sterns are network connected with what they call Stern Insider Connect, and basically it's score tracking and achievement systems and everything kind of locked into the pinball. You scan your phone and you have an online profile and all that stuff. So we're having some weird issues where you would scan your code and the player information would not propagate on the machine. And seemed like it was having a weird loop back thing, because sometimes it would automatically log in and other times it wouldn't, and it wouldn't sign in certain accounts. But after readjusting some things and reseating the network connector, it works fine. Foo Fighters Premium, that game, regardless of how you feel about the band Foo Fighters, is freaking amazing. Every ramp in there is metal, which is a big deal. It's got a bunch of little trick things. My favorite part of the whole thing is there's a mechanic. So if the ball's draining down the left out lane, so the outermost part of the playfield, and you have a certain power up assigned or enabled, you can hold down that left flipper and a post will pop out from behind the flipper and the ball will bounce and go on top of your right flipper, so you can kind of save it, which is super cool. And it's got a bunch of cool toys, and it's got Foo Fighters music. However, they've taken the band and turned them into more or less a Saturday morning cartoon where they're fighting aliens and you have to put together this Foo Fighters robot, and you travel around the country on tour kind of doing that, and it's wild, and the whole game is super good. There's a Twitch streamer called Deadflip, and he went to work for Stern, and he actually designed this machine, and it's more or less, from my understanding and what I've played and what I can see on the playfield, this is like a love letter to a bunch of different mechs within pinball machines. So it's got all those little things that might be a main feature on another pinball. So it's got an upper playfield and these loop shots and hook shots. and different little bumper aspects that are cool. And it's just a cool machine. So we got that up and running last night. We were at the bar till 2 a.m. We put a few games on it. And so then that led into today picking up the spare parts so we could fix Star Wars. We loaded High Speed into my truck, and then I moved Mortal Kombat 3 because the monitor chassis has been dead to the front and put Sunset Riders in its place because Sunset Riders has been working, but it hasn't had a home. I just put new sticks in it. Sunset Riders, it's cowboy themed, very cool arcade game, multi-directional shooter, more or less. Think Contra with cowboys. Cowboy Contra. That's perfect. And it looks like a bunch of people were actually playing that tonight, which was awesome to see because we had just put it on the floor. So Mortal Kombat moved to the front until I can get a new chassis in there. We messed with our Donkey Kong machine that I acquired recently that I had working. I think I need to recap the monitor chassis, but no big deal. It happens. And yeah, then we got Star Wars working, which was awesome. So now we have the full lineup of pinballs working, just a couple other machines that are down as far as the arcade goes. And hopefully we can wrap up some of those projects before Really Rad Weekend so we can take machines there, because I still have a Data East Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pinball that I got from a big time Ninja Turtles toy collector, which was cool. I have Laser War. I have Blackout, High Speed. I have a Dolly Parton that needs some love. I feel like we have one more. But that's it as far as pinball. I know some people are interested in that. I love to play pinball, and I love the idea of pinball because the mechanics are cool and it's fun and addictive, and the Insider Connect thing makes it a whole different ball game with the score tracking and leaderboards. But man, pinball is a pain because it breaks all the time, especially when you're a free play arcade and people can just hit that button and start new games because your play counts go up. Like, we probably get like 10 times the amount of play as somewhere that uses quarters, maybe more. So that's crazy. That was our pinball update of the week. But it looks like Hot Rod is pointing out some issues that are going on with our Monster Bash where the ball's getting stuck. And I know exactly what that problem is. I ordered a part to fix it. Basically, it's the pop bumper itself. So when the ball hits the pop bumper, it doesn't kind of eject. Parts are here to fix that. I just haven't gotten to it. Just give the machine a little nudge. That's the most playable way. And that's how you know you're really playing pinball. If you're not nudging, you're not playing, right? Or what do they say? It's something like that. If you're not tilting, you're not stilting. I don't know. So yeah, that's our pinball update. Machines are functional. You might still notice some quirks, but we're getting there. Pinball sucks. So let's see what else. All right, let's look at our notes here because I actually do notes for this show, which is crazy because I don't do notes for anything. Let's back it up to trade night. So we got our wish. Trade night was a little bit slower because it was pretty hot. I won't lie. If you ain't rootin', you ain't tootin'. Just like the raccoon I ordered from Temu. Anyway, trade night was slower. It was hot. Historically, this trade night in September, the first event technically after school gets back, is slower because people are just, it's Saturday. They're hanging out with their kids. Kids are off school. So slower. We had a good amount of people, some good people set up outside. Greg and Mike were out there with their toys. We had a bunch of new faces, which was cool, but we also had a bunch of people coming in to just buy, like purchasing, because we were open late, and people were into that, I guess, which is cool. But we were freaking slammed Saturday. Like, it was nuts. It was one of those times where it was like, man, I wish it would slow down, because it wasn't like big purchases that added up to a big number. It was a bunch of small purchases and a bunch of people that needed assistance, like, pretty heavily. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was just really demanding. And then with, the bar going on, it was tough. So we roll into trade night. The roof had been leaking, so it was also good that it was slower for that. I'm trying to think of some like notable moments. So our friend George brought out some comics. I ended up snagging a Ninja Turtles comic from him, which was cool, as well as one of the, I believe it's Valiant. I've had the Valiant Nintendo comics before in the past, but I got the Game Boy issue. Once again, excuse me. And got a good deal on that. I also picked up a Pirates of Darkwater comic from him, which is one of my favorite shows and favorite toy lines. So I was super stoked about that. I'm not huge into comics, but I really, really love Pirates of Darkwater. And if it's a property that I like, I'm going to buy it. Yeah, Meg in the chat, I'll definitely show it to you. And Hot Rod, listen, it's a good time to buy. The shop's hopping at trade night, and it's a lot of time. It's a good time. And if you haven't watched Pirates of Darkwater, it's a show that was fantastic, and it was short lived. I think it only ran one season or 1.5 or something like that. I think it's only like something short, like 16 episodes, and then they never continued it. So it was a cartoon, had a toy line. There's also 2 video games. There's a Super Nintendo game and a Sega Genesis game. The Sega Genesis game is kind of like Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, where it's side scroller with some RPG elements. However, the Super Nintendo version, which is more expensive, is also a beat 'em up. So it plays kind of like Knights of the Round meets Turtles in Time, and the game's super good. And it's one of those Super Nintendo games, which I don't hold on to a lot of those that aren't from my childhood, but I will never get rid of that one. Pirates of Darkwater is amazing. So, like I said, super happy to get that comic from our buddy, along with the Game Boy comic and the Ninja Turtles one. And I only got the Ninja Turtles comic because I can't remember which turtle it is. I think it might be Michelangelo, but he's holding a cat, like in his arm, like a baby on the cover. And I thought it was super funny, so I got that. Trying to think. I think I got some Garfield stuff from Greg and Mike. As usual, they bring me Garfield things, which is funny to me. What else? We had a vendor come in. Oh, I picked up some Game Boys for the shop that somebody had. They needed speakers, but got a good deal. Snagged those. We had someone come in that used to own a store in Pensacola, and unfortunately they had to close their store, and so they're kind of downsizing their inventory. Lots of good import stuff. So they brought that in. We made a deal on some import stuff, some handheld consoles, some DSs and 3DSs. Some need a little bit of work, but nothing crazy. What else did I get from them? Some GameCube games and some Saturn imports, which were cool. One of the Saturn imports I'm kind of tempted to bring back and bring to the house and mess with some. There were no modded systems in there that I noticed, but some cool stuff overall. So I was appreciative of that. However, after a while, he walks back in and he goes, "Hey, man, I know you bought all these games, but I found another box in my car that's boxes and manuals. Would you be interested in buying it?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Why? Of course." He walks in and it's a Rubbermaid bin, a big one, and it pulled the lid off and it's stacked. I mean, we're talking Gen 1 Pokemon boxes and manuals, N64 like bangers. There's a Pokemon Stadium box in there with the transfer pack, Hercules box, which you never see. My personal favorite was either the Bomberman on Game Boy box or what was the other one? Oh, the Blitz Special Edition box that was in there. That was cool because you don't see that because that was a rental exclusive, I believe, and so it's tough to find. It's got the Blockbuster sticker on the back, which is neat. And they were all for considering the age and the quality, other than some dust, they were in good shape. So that was happy. We came to an agreement on that. He cut me a really good deal. So got those. I'm trying to think if there was anything else at trade night that stood out. So I don't remember if I talked about it the last episode, but there is a copy of Tetris that I got coincidentally at trade night that I had purchased a week or two before. That was they call it like minute Tetris or minuet or something. I think it's minute, but it's a weird version of Japanese Tetris on the Game Boy. And there's two versions. There's version 1 and version 1.1. And there's a difference in the music, and I don't think the gameplay really, but it's a new like hipster thing to go after on YouTube that I've noticed, which is funny. So I bought one on eBay because it was cheap, and I'm a sucker for weird Game Boy games. So then I'm going through these imports that I picked up on trade night, and sure enough, there's a copy in there, which it was a copy 1.1 instead of the 1.0, which I had previously purchased. So, excuse me. So I need to compare and see what the deal is. But the way you can tell is on this Tetris game, the label's a little weird. It kind of looks like a bootleg, but there's a number imprinted on the label. And if there's a letter after the number, then that indicates that it's version 1.1 supposedly. But I don't really know why it's sought after or what the deal is. But somebody said it was rare on the internet, and now people think it's rare. So it's Tetris. It's whatever. Believe what you want. But yeah, that was pretty much trade night as a whole. We kind of hung out after, and then we went to the bar, tried to play some games and drink a couple beers, but had to work on pinball, and that's how it goes. So overall, Labor Day weekend, it was fun. It was a good pace. We didn't get crushed too bad, except for the bar. The bar was super busy. And now we've kind of recouped from everything, which is good. We've got a lot of good trades at the shop. A lot of stuff's been going out. If you guys have been paying attention to the social posts, which is always good. I'm trying to think, what else has been going on? So, next week, or I guess this week, Saturday, the day after tomorrow, my brain is so melted, I don't even know what day of the week it is or how much time is left in the week. Our friends at Cheezus, the grilled cheese food truck, are going to be at the bar with their new pop-up food truck called Mash Me Baby One More Time. And it is a mashed potato food truck where you can get basically a mashed potato bowl, not super unlike the KFC mashed potato bowls, but I hate this term, but elevated and way cooler. So, if you're looking for dinner on Saturday night, head to Rad Bar. I believe they're going to be setting up at like 6 or 7 and then go until whenever. So come out to that. Grab some mashed potatoes. I know that sounds weird, but it's going to be a good time. There's some of our favorite people and one of our favorite food trucks. So we're always happy to do whatever they want to do. Also, Pie Face has been coming out, which I touched on the last episode, which should be cool. They're great. So also it was brought up in the live chat from our bartender who's not working right now because she's a bum. So Cheezus has a crab rangoon grilled cheese, but because they're doing the pop-up mashed potato thing, you could get a crab rangoon. I can't even speak. A crab rangoon mashed potato bowl, which sounds like way too much. That sounds wild. Now, granted, I had a business meeting earlier this week, and we had pizza, and I ate a clam pizza that was potentially in my top 5 favorite pizzas of all time. So maybe we'll try the crab rangoon mashed potatoes. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised or blown away or nauseous and sick because I don't like crab rangoon. I know that's sacrilege these days, but I am what I am, and I eat better food, you weirdos. So yeah, that's Saturday. That'll be cool. What else happened recently? So today, I woke up, got a package on my doorstep. I forgot that I ordered all of the analog pocket accessories, So last week, all of a sudden, I get an email from Analog that says, "Hey, all of the accessories for the Analog Pocket are back in stock, and they are currently shipping," which for Analog is unheard of. Their Analog, for those that don't know, is a boutique console manufacturer. They make more or less emulation systems for consoles that are FPGA based, which is good. So it uses your original cartridges and hardware, and it outputs on an HDMI TV upscaled and all that jazz. So the Analog Pocket is their version of the Game Boy. It's super cool. I'm sure you guys have heard of it by now or seen it. I've had one. I love it. I use it more than probably almost any other gaming device in my collection. And so they make a dock so you can hook it up to your TV, and that was a primary accessory I wanted, on top of some cartridge adapters so you can play Game Gear games, not just Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color games. So I snagged the dock, the cartridge adapter, I got a screen protector, the system link cable, and then also I got the it's a MIDI cable because Nano Loop is in there, which is great. And so I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, but I want to mess with it. But I'm super happy to get them. They're actually behind me on the table over there, and I haven't had a chance to open them. But the dock is really appealing too, because then I can just, plug my pocket into the dock and play on the TV if I want to. Hot Rod in the chat, you are thinking of the right food truck. So that is Cheezus, and they're doing mashed potato stuff now. Also, I tried to get the glow-in-the-dark Analog Pocket. They announced it, and admittedly, I was changing a diaper when it went live, and I missed it by like 1 minute, and I was so mad. But it is what it is. So the glow in the dark one would have been cool. I see them selling for crazy amounts of money now on eBay, the pre-orders. But I'm good with my regular one. I've also got a Mister, so that covers like my FPGA needs. But I forgot I bought them. So I ordered the Super Nintendo, or what do they call it? The Super SG or something like that. So Analog's version of the Super Nintendo as well as their Genesis. So I've got those. I've got the Analog. What's it called? The NT Mini Noir. Thanks to our buddy Frank, he gave that to me as a gift, which is incredible. Thank you so much. I will be forever grateful and indebted to you for such a rad gift. And then I've got their TurboGrafx on the way. That way, it's just easy to hook everything up. Speaking of, I bought a lot the other day. That was on Facebook Marketplace. It was a collection buyout, smaller collection, but good stuff nonetheless. Paid a good amount of money for it, and there was a RadJunk 2X in there. So I have the 5X, which is the big one. This is a smaller one called the 2X that I kind of forgot that they make. And so if you're looking for a way to upscale your original hardware to go from component or composite to HDMI in a more methodical way, I think this is also FPGA based, so it's super clean, and that does all the heavy lifting, but allows you to play all of your retro consoles on a modern TV and it not look like crap. I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's as good as you're going to get from, these older machines going through a device. So check out the RadJunk 2X Pro, I believe. It's a little bit cheaper alternative because I think I talked about this in episode 1 with the 5X. So 2X is a little bit smaller. It, does what you need it to do, and it's a great device. So, yeah. That lot was cool that I picked up, though. It had an N64, a GameCube, some handhelds, I think a couple 3DSs, like a purple one, which is my new favorite color of the 3DS, an SP101, handful of games, and I think a PS2 or something. So, yeah, rad junk overall. Har har. Let's see. So I have been playing Starfield. And I know that a lot of people have opinions about Starfield and Bethesda games, especially when they launch. I am not the biggest Bethesda game fan, and it's no fault of Bethesda, and it is not the fault of, the typical bugs and glitches you think of when you think of Bethesda games. However, it's more so I just can't get into them. I try and try and try to get into them, like Skyrim and Oblivion. Oblivion's like one that I actually liked more than the others. Um, Fallout, I want to like that game, and it is just not for me. However, if you take all of the Bethesda games and smash them together and then put them in space, that's Starfield. And I'm kind of into it. Um, we'll get to the space exploration part in a second because I know that there have been a lot of opinions on that. However, as far as the main story goes, and just fast traveling from place to place and completing the storyline, it's engaging and it hooked me and I'm into it. The shooting segments are kind of tough. I won't lie. Supplies are scarce unless I'm just missing something because I don't know how to play a Bethesda game. But I like the aesthetic of it. I know they called it NASA Punk, and I don't think that that is too far off base. I think that the game probably has some issues and whatnot, but they aren't as bad as everybody's making them out to be. And so I think a big problem that people have is they're trying to relate it to No Man's Sky. And part of that is due to Bethesda saying things about space exploration that aren't surface level or completely evident at first. Now, mind you, I have not played to in game. I am probably 15 to 20 hours in. But one of the main problems with the game is that when you get in your ship to travel to do a mission or anything like that, you're not flying through space like you are manually in No Man's Sky with your hyperdrive or whatever. The game defaults to fast travel. So it'll pop up a window or a modal, and you can tell I used to be a software developer. I'm saying things like modal. So it'll pop up a modal, and it'll say like hold X to fast travel or whatever. However, you can manually fly. I just don't know if there's anything to find while you're manually flying. So the fast travel works in a way where if you're on a planet and you go on a mission and you fast travel, it'll kind of like shoot you out after you select where you're going, and it will like put you in orbit around the planet. Now you can fly away from that planet, and the only thing I've seen thus far are asteroids. And I see Ryan in the chat saying nope. However, I did notice some things that I didn't hear people talking about when they were talking about just the fast travel. But I think the fact that the game, through its interfaces, through its UI and UX, it's it's funneling you to that fast travel point. I think there may be more to it than what most people are seeing, because once it's in your face to fast travel, by human nature, you're like, yeah, I want instant gratification. Get me to that planet so I can go complete this fetch quest or whatever. Which I will say, all the environments that I've encountered, the cities and the interior environments and the storyline are all great. I love that aspect. It feels very much like Star Trek in a certain regard, because the organization that you help in the beginning of the game, or, if you choose the main storyline, is kind of like a less, it's an explorers group, and you're out to find, the mysteries of the universe. So that's cool. I do wish that there was some No Man's Sky stuff kind of mixed in with the exploration and the procedurally generated planets and things like that. I don't know if they're procedurally generated in this game because I haven't touched down on many planets or many areas outside of the primary storyline. So there could be more to it. I could definitely see them adding a patch or some DLC in the future. I I really like the game. I wish shooting was a little bit tighter. It feels good overall. The big problem with that, with the combat systems though, is that there are so many different weapons in the game that you can loot off of a dead character or pick up, throughout the story or throughout the environments. But they all use different ammo. So you might be carrying like 16 guns and only have like ammo for 2 of them, but then you don't want to drop the guns because you might pick up ammo for one of the ones that you need and run out of ammo for the primary weapon you're using at the moment in the next like room. So that's kind of annoying. But those are my only real big criticisms. Outside of that, the game runs great on the Series X. That's what I'm playing it on. I've heard of a few people that I know having some crashes. Nothing crazy, but just like, typical T-pose stuff that are playing on PC, which I haven't tried it. I might, because it's, what do they call that? Not crossplay. Play anywhere. So if you have it on your console on Xbox, you can have it on your PC through Game Pass, which is cool, and your progress is seamless, which is fantastic. I'm glad that that's a thing. So, yeah, I'm really liking it, and I really want to complete that main storyline. I've been playing on my Starfield controller, so I feel like a real nerd. Because once again, like, these are not my types of games, but, I'll play them if the story is engaging. So that's cool. I'm really into that right now. I feel like there was something else that I started to play or I downloaded, and I haven't gotten to it yet. Man, for the life of me, I cannot remember. But primarily Starfield is what I'm leaning into right now. I don't know if I'll put like a ton of hours into it, just because I don't have a lot of time. But I really want to finish that main story and then some of the other stuff. The other thing that I have, okay. Here's the problem with video games. This is going to take a turn that is like far deeper than it should be, and it doesn't just affect games like Starfield. So I am old. I am 36 years old. I have been playing video games all of my life. And there was a time when video game companies were building consoles and controllers, in my brain it seemed so cool when they were adding more buttons to controllers. And you're like, oh man, this joystick has like 36 buttons. This quick shot has 6 different ways to press the B button. However, I have hit a point in my life where there are too many systems within video games, too many things to manage, too many things to think about. I want it to be mindless. I want a gas pedal and a brake pedal. I want a way to shoot and a way to jump. But there's a lot of things. So like in Starfield and No Man's Sky and a lot of other games that I really love the idea of, or I love on a surface level, they incorporate things in a way that is integral to the game, like crafting and base building and things of that nature that you have to micromanage within the game to succeed at the game. I don't want to do any of that. Like, I want to explore, and if there's a loose storyline that I can follow that's engaging, then that's what I want to do. I don't want to have to go build a freaking ship or smash together a bunch of minerals to build health kits or a stew or whatever. I want to just play the damn game with some power-ups. That's all I want to do. Maybe this is why I like pinball. It's just flippers and a ball. So in that aspect, maybe that's why I don't like Bethesda games so much. And that is also the reason why I put down Elden Ring, which I loved. And it was so good. But the second I knew that I had to start doing things to level up and create different builds and all that, I was not about it. And so I have not played again. And that's pretty much how I feel about Starfield. But I love the idea of being in space. I like the storyline. It kind of keeps me going. Whereas in No Man's Sky, where I wasn't really following a storyline and I was just exploring, which is great. I love No Man's Sky. It kind of keeps me playing and it keeps me wanting to explore that next world, whether it be through fast travel or just straight up flying to it. So for me, the fast travel stuff is not a deal breaker. But once again, I think it kind of funnels people into it. And so they think that that's their only option. So Starfield's cool. If you have Game Pass, it's out on Game Pass. I paid the $30 or whatever to get the premium version so I could play it a few days early because I knew I had time. I valued the time greater than the dollar figure so I could get in there and actually play, which never happens. I don't ever have time to play games unless I'm at the bar and I'm trying to squeeze in a game of pinball to like troubleshoot a machine. But there's more stuff I'd like to play. So yeah, Starfield's great. If that's your type of thing, if you're looking for a No Man's Sky experience, play No Man's Sky. If you like sci-fi and you like Fallout, this is probably the game for you. So check out Starfield if you like it. I wish it was multiplayer. I want a Starfield MMO. Let's see. What else? Retro Palooza Prep. That is next on my list of things that we're going to talk about. So, Retro Palooza is a week from tomorrow for us because we are hosting the Friday night pre-party, which is Trade Night in Dallas, Texas, specifically Arlington at the Arlington Expo Center. I believe we're doing Trade Night at the hotel. I could be wrong. I need to double check. And then Saturday and Sunday are the convention. My buddy Jay puts it on, one of the Game Chasers, and it is a fantastic convention. We went for the first time on their second year, I believe, and another time outside of that, and then I've been to the Houston show twice. So I'm going to drive out there with Molly and Allie. Sam's going to fly in. We're flying in a secret guest who's a good buddy of mine. He's going to help us at the booth because we're going to be set up. We're going to be buffing CDs, doing battery replacements, slinging games, slinging vinyl, doing trading. So if you're in the Dallas area and you have trades, bring them by the booth because we are ready to buy them or trade for them because we need some new inventory. And this is kind of our fun way to get rid of it and get some new stuff in to bring back to the Panhandle. So bring out your trades. So outside of that, they've got a guest list that's really good. It's very similar to the Really Rad Weekend list because we all like the same people. So I'm very excited to go to a convention that I don't have to like put on. Like we're working and it's work, and I'll help Jay however he needs it. But man, is it going to be good to just be able to walk away. But our buddy Retro Rick's going to be there. Saw that Pat the NES Punk's going to be there, which I can't wait to talk to him again. Maybe I'll buy some more TurboGrafx stuff from him. Trying to think who else. I think Phoenix will be there. Caleb. I need to go back over the guest list because I haven't in a minute. But the other thing that we're doing while we're there, 20 minutes from the convention center is Meow Wolf Grapevine. So, and we got tickets for our entire crew because we're going. So Meow Wolf is like an art collective type thing, and they do these big interior art installations that are interactive. It's kind of like a real life RPG video game exploration thing, coupled with I've never done an escape room, but people say it's similar to an escape room. So it's the most elaborate maze and interactive art thing you'll ever go to. The one in Vegas is called Omega Mart, and so the theme is it's a grocery store. And it's like this crazy corporate thing that was kind of like overthrown by some outsiders. But the facade is grocery store. So you're exploring this grocery store with all these weird little mutant things. And you're like opening doors and like looking for things. And you open the coolers and then there's tunnels. And you go through the tunnel and it opens up into this big like cavern with like luminescent stuff everywhere. And so that's kind of like the mind bender that these places are. The one in Grapevine, I believe, just opened this year or last year, and it is based on some sort of mall interaction. It's called the Unreal is Real or something like that. So each city that hosts one, the storyline and the theme is different in each city. And I believe there's one in Santa Fe, which is the original one. There's one in Denver, one in Vegas, one in Grapevine, and I think one more. This one looks really cool though. I intentionally don't look stuff up about these things before we go because I want it to be like a total surprise. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know the girls are too. I'm trying to convince some people to go with us as well. But so Saturday, the con ends at 5, and they have like an after party thing. We're going to try and sneak away at 7 to go do that for a few hours and then hit the after party where the real fun is at the hotel. And then Sunday, continue the convention. And then Monday, I'm going to drive back with the girls. Sam's flying back Sunday night. So Retropalooza Dallas is always a great time. It's one of those things where I don't necessarily enjoy conventions that are all vendor floor or where the vendor floor is the highlight, but Retropalooza is definitely vendor focused with a great guest list surrounding it and just a great scene. So it's fun to be at a trade show more or less for our industry and just hang out with other people that are like that. And like, yeah, of course, there's buying and selling, commerce and all that. But it's always just good to see our friends in Texas because they are kind of like parallel universe us. And it's really odd, but we love it and we can't wait to be in Dallas. So that's September 16th and 17th, I believe. Flights are pretty cheap. See Ryan in the chat saying he wants to go. Plane tickets are not too bad, and the drive isn't too bad. It's like 11 or 12 hours from here. We're going to leave super early in the morning, probably like 3 or 4 a.m., and drive straight through. That way we can get set up for trade night and, get some food and all that. And I also have to stop at the airport to pick up the special guest. So that'll be a good time. Super happy to see our Dallas family. Let's see. What else is going on? I feel like I might be coming back from Retropalooza with some arcade games. I should probably take my trailer, but I don't want to. Because if I don't come back with arcade games, then I towed a 28-foot trailer for nothing. And I don't want to deal with all that. So, yeah, Retropalooza next weekend. It's going to be fun. It's in Arlington, Texas. Retropalooza.com. So go there, buy your tickets, support the homies. Also, while we're talking about conventions, Really Rad Weekend, November 11th and 12th. And tickets are on sale now. We've got early bird specials available at reallyradweekend.com, as well as a great hotel rate, thanks to the island on Okaloosa Island. And today we announced that the Game Chasers are going to be there, which we know Jay for sure. Billy is still in question. However, they are a pair, and we consider them a pair. It's just going to depend on a couple things, but we pray he can get out here because we've been trying to, and it's always a good time when he's around. What else? I feel like we announced someone else, too, in the meantime. Maybe we didn't. But we've also got announcements coming up for our tournament schedule, our cosplay contest, which we're going to announce our judges for. We have modern and retro tournaments as well. So we got some fun ones lined up this year with, cash prizes plus, gift certificates and all that jazz. $500 Killer Queen tournament for the pre-party at Rad Bar on November the 10th. I've potentially got one more guest we're going to announce. He said he was going to ask his wife if they have something going on. I'd be super excited if they were here. So that's a little bit of a teaser. So hopefully they can make it out, and we'll have an announcement from them soon. Because they make a modern game that I am a huge fan of, that they just announced the third one in its series not too long ago. So that could be really cool. Cosplay pool party. So get your aquatic themed cosplay ready. Ian and John are going to be DJing. There's going to be drinks. It's going to be a good time. Really Rad Weekend's like the party con, where Retropalooza is like the serious version. We're kind of like the, hey, let's drink a beer in a hotel room and just hang out. So, Really Rad Weekend, November 11th and 12th. Get your tickets now. Now. All the money goes to charity. Every dollar. I don't make anything. So, that's my shameless plug for Really Rad Weekend. What else? We're actually coming up to time. Yeah, 55 minutes, no problem. We didn't get any questions this week, or at least if we did, Sam didn't tell me. You can email your questions to info@radjunk.com and put podcast question in the subject line. That's how we'll see them. If it's anything other than that, it'll be deleted. What else? So you can submit questions via Twitter, just at Joe Alonzo or at RadJunk. That's a good way, or X or whatever they're freaking calling it. I spend most of my time on Blue Sky though, with the homies, because it's a lot nicer over there. It's not as much noise. I don't like all the noise. Things coming up outside of conventions. We're going to be closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and probably Monday while we're at the convention. It's going to depend on what time we get back on Monday, which we're going to be closed on Monday. But we're packing up the shop and we're taking it to Dallas. So try to come to the shop next weekend. I'm sorry. So yeah, Monday's actually the drive back. I forgot about that. So there is no recovery. I haven't had a day off in like ever. But it's a good time. There was something else I was going to say that I cannot remember now. Shop's open. Bar's open. This weekend should be good. Got some cool new beers. The pumpkin stuff's starting to come out. We got a pumpkin pie nitro that is really good that we tried today. A couple good IPAs hit the menu. We have a caramel apple hard cider that got on the menu today from Blake's, which is cool. What else? I feel like there was something else. I don't know. But this week, I'm going to play more Starfield. I'm going to do more convention stuff. I'm going to prep to go to Dallas. I'm going to try and record another show on Thursday night. Maybe we'll have some guests. Because I'm going to try and convince the girls to just stay here so we can leave here at like 3 or 4 a.m. and just get there. So maybe I'll have them on the show. And I'm working on setting up some things so viewers can leave voicemails or some questions or things directly in the show platform, whether you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever. Twitch, we're going to get back to streaming games soon, I promise. But right now, this is kind of like the weekly deal. I'm aiming for every Thursday. And what I'd like to do is go live on Thursdays by about 10 p.m., maybe a little bit earlier if I can. But typically we do beer tasting and then head here. And then obviously today it was hectic because we were fixing pinballs and doing stuff. But I'm going to try and play a little more Starfield. I want to touch on some Game Boy games that I've been meaning to get to. I have some indie games on cart that I haven't gotten to play yet. And then there was another game. I'm like broken right now on the Switch that I brought home that I don't remember what it was. I'm like looking around like I'm going to see it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is episode 2. I'm Joe Alonzo from RadJunk, Rad Bar, and Really Rad Weekend. If you have any questions, shoot them to us. info@radjunk.com. Podcast questions in the subject line. Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Whatever you want to hear. We're also going to do a market report next week on some games that are trending up or down or whatever, which is cool because I follow that. I know it's nerdy and dumb, but whatever. Everybody, thank you for watching live on Twitch. Thank you for everybody that subscribes to us, follows us, whatever. Thanks for everybody listening to us in your car. I say us, but I mean me right now. Thank you for listening to me blab on for an hour. This has been episode 2. If you want to subscribe to stuff, that would be cool, especially youtube.com/RadJunk, where this will be uploaded later in its full video form. Until then, come eat some mashed potatoes on Saturday. Drink a beer if you're old enough and that's your thing. If not, cool. Hang out and play some video games. And we will see you in 1 week. Later.